The Sony BRAVIA 9 is the premium flagship mini LED model for this year, and it features the very latest XR backlight master drive technology and an advanced local dimming algorithm to produce some of the best images that we've seen from a mini LED TV this year. There's been a lot of hype surrounding the BRAVIA 9 from the initial first look of the XR backlight technology that I saw at CES, and then the launch event I attended at Sony Pictures in Culver City in LA. Since then, there's been a growing interest in an LCD TV that some clickbait videos described as an OLED killer. Well, it's not, but it is the best LCD TV Sony has ever produced. Hello and welcome to another video on AVForums. I'm Phil Hinton, and for the last 20 years I've been the site editor, and I'm also a fully qualified ISF, THX and PVA calibrator. And in this video we're looking at the Sony BRAVIA 9 or XR90 mini LED TV. You can read the full in-depth review at AVForums, where we deep dive into measurements and graphs in more detail, and you'll always find our latest TV reviews first on AVForums. Our YouTube videos, well, they tend to come along a little bit later. We have one of the largest AV and hi-fi communities on the web, and there you'll find owners threads from members who actually own the BRAVIA 9, and where you can ask them questions and find out a little bit more from people who actually own and live with this TV on a daily basis. If you enjoy our reviews and the community at AVForums, then please do feel free to spread the word on social media and other forums. Let's get to the biggest stumbling block with the BRAVIA 9 out of the way first, and that is that this is a very expensive premium TV. £3,000 actually for the 65-inch version, and that's a screen size that wasn't initially going to be released in the UK. It's also available in 75-inch at £3,499, and the 85-inch version is £4,299. Shopping around, you'll find cheaper deals online over those launch MSRP prices. This does put the BRAVIA 9 in a crowded marketplace of flagship TVs around the same kind of price point or less, with many of the best OLED TVs competing directly on screen size and cinematic image quality at a lower price. It does live up to the hype in terms of peak brightness that hits 2800 nits in the most accurate professional HDR picture mode, and the backlight control is absolutely brilliant. This does produce HDR images that are dynamic, accurate and realistic, with superb black levels and very little in the way of blooming or clouding when watching directly onto the screen. Viewing angles are poor, and once you get 30 degrees of axis you'll start to see blooming and halos, which is a downside of VA panels and LCD technology, no matter how good the local dimming and the number of zones are that are available. But watching this TV directly onto the screen, the BRAVIA 9 can produce some stunning HDR images. It uses a unique XR backlight master drive system, and this is the big story with this LCD TV. The BRAVIA 9 backlight uses a Sony developed 22-bit high performance driver that is tiny, and it's the world's smallest according to the company. The drivers are spaced across the backlight panel and responsible for each zone of mini LEDs. And because the LEDs are controlled in the current and time domains with incredible precision by the driver, it adds far more gradation to the zones of the backlight, which reveals more detail, less haloing, and it can save up to 20% less energy. And that's a bonus. This is where Sony is doing things differently for this year, and why it's pushing BRAVIA 9 as an LCD TV that you can watch movies on in a dark room. And you really can watch movies in a dark room on the BRAVIA 9 without the drawbacks of LCD technology when you're looking directly onto the TV. Sony's developed the BRAVIA 9 to replicate as much as possible the performance of its latest professional grading monitors, especially the BVM HX3110. That's capable of a consistent 4000 nits image, and Sony's pushing the industry to move mastering to that level rather than the current level of about 1000 nits. The BRAVIA 9 is designed to get close to that type of brightness performance in an accurate picture mode, and it does perform well at around about 2800 nits in the professional HDR picture mode. The BRAVIA 9 features HDR10, HLG hybrid log gamma, IMAX enhanced and Dolby Vision flavours of HDR, Plus, it also uses the new Pentonic system-on-chip chipset, and we get 4K 120 gaming with Dolby Vision. There are also picture modes for Netflix Adaptive Calibrated Mode, Sony Pictures Core Calibrated Mode, and the new Prime Video Calibrated Mode, along with audio support for DTS and Dolby Atmos. With HDR content, the BRAVIA 9 measures in at an impressive 2,816 nits on the industry standard 10% window. It's also consistent with the smaller window sizes, with no signs of any aggressive blooming suppression being applied, where the highlights would dim down. A lot of LCD TVs take that route. The BRAVIA 9 manages to maintain very high peak brightness, which allows specular highlights to shine and create excellent dynamic range. Screen uniformity on a 5% grey slide is very good, with a clean looking panel and just the usual lighter edges and darker centre at this brightness. This then reverses as we go up the brightness slide scale. The panel looks good for a mini LED with no obvious clouding or patchiness. Using the usual torture tests and scenes from Blade Runner 2049 with our large areas of cloud and mist and the camera's panning, there's no obvious signs of DSE or dirty screen effect, and there's only very slight banding seen on fast moving shots, but nothing that's distracting. Football also looks very good with no issues of DSE present. There are some instances of posterization in low bitrate content and with some tricky 4K material. Sony has been the leader of image processing and motion reproduction, and that continues to be the case here, with excellent 24 frames per second motion that applies the correct pull down and shows no sign of induced judder or motion blur that's not already present in the content. Broadcast at 50 Hz is also displayed with confidence, with no signs of frame skipping or micro stutter. Using the frame interpolation systems available under Motion Flow, it can start to introduce soap opera effect, or SOE, and when used at a high level there are artifacts and image starts to break up around fast moving objects. If you want to use smoothing, some care needs to be taken when you're experimenting with the motion controls. Thankfully, the separate sliders for film and video based content do help in this regard with choosing the correct settings. Upscaling is excellent, as you would expect from the XR processor, and we saw no issues of forced edge enhancement or edge ringing to upscaled SD and HD content on the BRAVIA 9. Normally, at this point of a mini LED TV review, I'd say that use it in a normal living room conditions with ambient light, suits the TV the best and mitigates the usual issues associated with the technology. But to be honest, that narrative's becoming far less relevant with the top-end mini LED TVs like the BRAVIA 9, which can handle movie content in dim surroundings without any major issues usually seen in such surroundings. I need to, however, clarify that that's when you're viewing the TV from directly onto the screen and not when you're off axis, which still displays issues with blooming and clouding that you would expect to see, and that's even on the BRAVIA 9. It's an LCD TV at the end of the day. During my 3 weeks using the set as my main TV in our lounge, as well as on the test bench and viewing directly, there were plenty of occasions that I had to remind myself that this was an LCD TV. The local dimming algorithm is probably one of the very best in use at this moment, and when it's married to the new XR Backlight Master Drive technology, it's mightily impressive indeed. In dim viewing, there are little to no instances of blooming, with the vast majority of SDR and especially HDR content that I viewed. Blacks are deep and fluid, with excellent just above black shadow detail retrieval, and the midtones are full of detail that brings the image to life and gives it excellent dynamics and depth. The tone mapping is also superb, and it helps provide the BRAVIA 9 with excellent dynamic, realistic and lifelike colours and superb detailed highlights. The BRAVIA 9 also employs a 70-watt 2.2.2 Dolby Atmos and DTS capable sound system, and that incorporates beam tweeters for overhead effects and frame tweeters for side effects that also vibrate the panel, as well as the normal front-firing sound channels and subwoofers. Then there's the sound processing employed that can also create phantom speakers in a 5.2.2 upscale layout and 360 spatial sound mapping to your room. And for a TV sound system, this does a very good job with a genuine attempt at creating an immersive experience. The bass is good but a little light for action movie soundtracks, but the dialogue is clean and intelligible, and there's a nice enveloping soundstage. It won't, however, match a soundbar or external sound system, and if you want that full-on cinema experience, you'll need to go down that route. While the marketing push has quite rightly been aimed at bringing cinema home with the BRAVIA 9, we can't forget about the gaming credentials on offer here. With massive screen sizes, you will certainly get an immersive gaming experience with excellent HDR performance and automatic HDR setup when using a PS5 console. There are two full bandwidth 48GB per second HDMI 2.1 ports with 4K 120 including Dolby Vision, VRR support, ALLM and EARC. There's also a very useful game menu with further settings to help with your gaming experience and picture modes to suit the type of game that you are playing. Input lag in game mode measures in at 17.1 milliseconds for 4K 60, and with 120Hz it's 8.7 milliseconds. The Sony BRAVIA 9 looks every part of the premium TV that it is. Build quality is superb with excellent use of materials and finishes. Sony described this as a one-slate design with almost bezel-less edges to the panel and a screen that looks sleek with a gunmetal edge finish that looks expensive. With the stand feet, you have a choice to use them in a high or low position, depending on whether you'll be using a soundbar or not. And you can also position these feet at the panel edges or in the center of the panel chassis, giving you a choice depending on the width of your mounting surface. There are two remote controls included in the box with an old-fashioned black plastic affair with a multitude of buttons and the new small USB-C Eco remote. This remote is made from 80% recycled plastics and it has a speckled finish. It's light and easy to use with an intuitive layout, and it's also backlit. There is no doubt that the BRAVIA 9 is a mightily impressive mini LED TV that employs some cutting-edge technology and image processing to push on the performance capabilities of LCD TVs, even for critical movie watching in dim rooms. The image quality on offer is superb when sat directly onto the TV, with some of the best HDR image quality that I've seen this year, thanks to superb blacks and stunning peak brightness up to 2800 nits. Colours are accurate with lifelike skin tones, and of course there's stunning motion and video processing performance from that XR processor. There is no doubt that this is a premium TV with a premium price tag attached to it, and it's also up against some incredibly tough competition, including its own stablemate, the A95L QD OLED. Only you will be able to answer if it's worth the outlay, but there's no getting away from the fact that this is by far the best mini LED TV Sony has ever made, and certainly up to now, and it comes highly recommended. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do like and subscribe, and please also consider sharing this with your friends on social media or other forums. If you want to find out what normal users think about the Sony BRAVIA 9, you can also head over to AVForums and read the owner's thread over there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.